It's let's see, early 2000s. I'm 21-year-old JPC, and it's just another Wednesday night. I'm doing tonight what I've done every Wednesday for probably the last year. I've driven an hour to Tampa to the USF, University of South Florida campus to play a pickup game of Ultimate Frisbee. I have some friends on campus now, and this is what we do. Um, I get off of work and I drive out to play pickup Ultimate. Um, for me, this is a very cathartic thing to do, of doing it on Wednesdays and Sundays. Uh, I was a somewhat athletic youth, youth and I could go out on Wednesday nights and style on kids. It was a lot of fun. For those of you who know what a 40-yard dash is, I had a sub 4.5 40 in high school. I could get up, I hit my elbow on a rim, 10-foot basketball rim. I could jump, and I was ideal for ultimate frisbee, mostly because most of the most athletic kids in college were playing a different sport, and we're not in a club frisbee team, and we're not going to Wednesday night pickup. So uh, I was the king of the pickup game, as it were. This particular Wednesday, however, uh, I will never forget. I played many, 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 many Wednesdays, and this Wednesday, I learned a lesson. Um, I'm warming up and I see a new kid, right? All the regular faces, all the same people. Tonight's just going to be like every other night. And there's a new kid, and I'm excited about the new kid. He's a little bit taller than me. And one of the things I also enjoyed doing was making new people feel inadequate, because I had my own emotional and mental issues that I was going through, and it was nice for me to jump over tall people and outrun fast people. However, I learned very quickly the first point. Covering him, he's on attack, and uh, my friend Rick, who was older than me at the time, well, was older than me always, um, saw me covering him, and he on attack with this kid. Rick chucks a huck downfield, and I'm thinking Rick does this for me, right? Rick's trying to make me look good, trying to make me feel good because this is gonna float, and I'm going to go up, and I'm gonna put my hip in this kid's ear and sky him, like just I'm salivating the way that this disc is floating towards the end zone. Um, I'm in the right position. I'm in front of him. I've got my body in front of him. There's no way he can get around me at this point. He's not running past me, so I've got speed on him. And because I'm a little bit shorter, I'm about 5'9", 5'10". This kid's 6 foot. Um, I'm gonna go up a little bit early to kind of throw him off. There's no way that he's gonna suspect this 5'10" kid to go up early and get the disc at this high point. Um, we're getting closer to the end zone. I'm still in front of him, still got the position. I'm still in a good spot. I get ready to take my 1-2 step for the jump, and he's already in the fucking air. This guy, this guy jumped way before I was ever going to jump, and he cleared me. Like, I didn't even get off the ground. I was shocked. Like, he did to me what I wanted to do to him. Like, oh fuck, okay, all right, well, I clearly can't jump with this guy. Even if I wanted to, even if I was going up when he went up, like I wasn't gonna get it at the point that he got it. Okay, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Reset. I'll just outrun him. Got to keep the disc low to the ground, and I can just outrun him. Have a couple of opportunities, but nothing really pans out for the next couple of points. But about 6 point in, 7 point in. I'm actually on attack this time. He's covering me, and I cut in. I have open space. I cut in, and the guy with the disc doesn't throw it to me. And I look over my shoulder, and this kid is right on my fucking hip. Like, what the fuck? So I turn around and I bust deep to try to see if I can get them to again throw a huck. But I was like, I told them you gotta keep it low to the ground. I can't jump with this kid. When I turn to cut deep, the handler he puts it out, and it's low. It's good. I'm going. I'm gonna go get this. This fucking kid, stride for stride, passes me and gets the D, and I'm at a loss for words. The entire night turns into just me moping, essentially. Like, I don't know what to do against this guy. I don't know what to do. I can't jump over him. I can't jump with him. I can't run with him. And the game ends. The game goes through, like, we don't really keep score, but I keep score, and we lost. And it was, I would say, yeah, it was frankly devastating. I wasn't the most athletic kid. I never expected to do great things athletically, but it's a pickup game. How is anybody who's better than me physically, faster, jumps higher? How is anybody going to come out here on a random Wednesday in Tampa and frankly he styled on me. After the game, everyone's just having a good time, joking, chatting, haha, whatever. And I'm on the sidelines, switching out of my cleats and getting ready to drive back home. Frankly, mopey. I'm mopey. I'm annoyed. I'm thinking about every point. And Rick, who I mentioned earlier, Rick was a really, really good friend of mine. Rick is older than me, and he and his friends, who ended up becoming my friends, all kind of made it a point to remind me that I always acted a little bit, I guess, older than my age. I wouldn't say that that's necessarily it was always true. I just kind of mimicked what they were doing. Like, I didn't act like a 21-year-old around 27-year-olds or 25-year-olds or whatever they were. I don't actually remember. But if we went out, I wasn't this, immature kid bouncing around the bar or whatever, around the club. I tried to kind of mimic what they were doing, but I still kind of got compliments on not being as immature as I probably could have been, or at least as immature as I was showing myself to be. And I remember Rick walking past me and being like, "Hey, what's up? You all right?" And I just kind of mumbled under my breath or whatever, but I was just kind of like I tonight wasn't fun. And Rick had this smirk that he would do, this kind of I'm about to teach him something smirk. And I don't remember the exact phrase he kind of said, but if that annoyed you, then that does show your age. That does show your immaturity. There's always going to be somebody better than you at something, and it's up to you to figure out how to find your strengths and use your strengths, or accept the game for what it is and stop worrying about it. I don't remember that kid's name. I don't remember at all. I don't remember what he looks like. I just remember he's taller than me. But he's a part of one of the first nights in my life, even at 21, 22, where I had a moment of realization that I have options in my life to figure out how to recognize when somebody's better than me. And I needed to learn how to find out what strengths I had that could counter that, or accept my fate and find another way to have fun. It's a pickup game of Ultimate. Why am I sad that I wasn't styling on everybody? And another note, Rick did say, now you know how we feel. Every night we come out here and you do the shit you do, and we're still supposed to have fun. So a little bit of short-sightedness on my part as well. But that was just another Wednesday night. Hey, it's JPC again, and welcome to Back in My Day. Episode number 14, I think. Oh my goodness. All right, so this week I want to talk about finding inefficiencies in my gameplay or in our gameplay. I did this one because I see a lot of comments around how do I improve my aim? How do I stop getting one tapped? Like Wahujin's done a bunch of videos around this, and it has nothing to do with your aim. It has nothing to do with getting one tapped. It has to do with your inefficiencies in how you play the game. This can apply to many, many games, Dota, League, even TFT, I'm among many, many, many others. But I'm going to talk specifically about what I know about Valorant. And while I may not know how to fix my inefficiencies yet, I am aware of them, and I want to point out kind of what those gaps are. Caveats, obviously, these are my experiences. This is my perspective of my inefficiencies, and there are others who can explain this better, but hopefully my low elo old man words can maybe help you understand it a little bit differently than big brain mech happy people. I wanted to talk real quick also before we get into it about the story at the beginning. So it's something I wanted to try to do. That story was very unrefined and unedited, so a little bit all over the place, but I felt like if I kept waiting on finishing that story, this podcast would never come out. I wanted to tell that story because it was one of my first experiences learning about not thinking about what I was or wasn't doing. Physically, inefficiencies are obvious to me, right? The kid was taller than me. The kid was faster than me. I could see those things. When I ran cross country, kids with longer legs tend to be better at cross country because they cover more ground per step. You have to get into like energy usage and all that nonsense, but you can tell that kid is taller if we have the same turnover rate in our legs. If we do 1 step per second, he will always a taller person will always outrun me. So what I have to do is figure out how to have less than or a step in less than a second to over time hopefully catch somebody, right? So if you're thinking about that in terms of inefficiencies, that's the I'll stop there with my caveats, but that story was really important to me. I still remember that day. I remember that night. And the conversation that my friend Rick had with me about recognizing what I was or wasn't doing. Anyway, let's get into it. Hidden mechanics. So I kind of want to start with talking about hidden mechanics. Valorant, when I first started Valorant, and I think these are things that a lot of people know. Obviously, there's a bunch of mechanics I'm still not fully aware of, but the things that are obvious. And I think that the point of kind of going into this and discussing this is more about trying to get somebody to think about what they don't see or think about what they're not doing versus just assuming they're getting one tapped. When I play against like really good players in in-houses, or when I've happened to have been like in a Wahujin DM, or a Radiant DM, or whatever it is, I'm getting hit like very quickly. I don't have time to think. That's not because their aim is better. It's because their crosshair placement and their movement is already better. And it's something to kind of like stop worrying about your aim. Your crosshair, if you have to move it less distance, right? If the movement distance is shortened because your crosshair placement is better, you're always going to have an advantage over somebody who doesn't have good crosshair placement. Right? That's not a hidden mechanic, but the way to counter that and the way to understand how to deal with that is your movement, which I think, if I understand correctly, is very unique to Valorant. And no, maybe it's just a first person shooter thing, because again, I didn't play them, but the idea of moving left to right when somebody's in front of you, it's about not getting hit versus hitting them. And then understanding how to move left to right and counter strafe. Sorry, dead zone. My apologies. And to dead zone when shooting, in order to maximize your movement while maximizing your accuracy, and then you work on your crosshair placement and whatnot. So those hidden mechanics around dead zoning and strafing, and moving left to right. If you can master those, you can get into above gold, above plat, even above diamond by maximizing the understanding of those mechanics that are specific to Valorant. I think that taking a moment and recognizing that you're just not good at that right now is the thing that helps you, I guess, accelerate your growth. Focusing on those things. Your aim is not the problem. Trust me, your aim is not the problem. From that, so finding the hidden mechanics, the things that you don't know, like the first time I learned about this was actually in Dota, in animation canceling. I was playing an agent. I was playing a hero, and a guy who was talking to me was basically explaining, you're taking too long to get to your second spell. Like if you cast 2 spells at one time, you're taking too long to get to your second spell. And I had no clue what he was talking about. And he kind of showed me. We actually we pulled up a video of some pro player, I don't know, playing Jakiro or something, if I remember correctly. And Jakiro was getting off like all 3 spells in the time that it took me to get to halfway through my second spell. And I'd never even heard of animation canceling. Now, this guy actually did tell me, like, he's like, I can't come to your house and show you how to click your buttons, right? Like, and I think that's important. Like, he wasn't being rude about it the way he said it, but Wahujin can't come to your house and show you how to click these buttons. He can only, put an overlay on and show you what he's doing. You have to work and work and work and work to figure out how to click those buttons and how to move your agent and how to, shoot your gun. So you have to figure out what it is you're not understanding, which is, in my opinion, one of the hardest parts about getting into a game. But you also have to be open-minded enough to recognize that you don't see what you're doing wrong, and perhaps you're just not grasping what you don't know and need to keep asking more questions. I think it's very important from that perspective. So hidden mechanics, it's just number one. Yeah. Moving on from there. Strategy. So the mechanics. So strategy is the second part, and Wahujin does a good job of kind of saying, like, stop trying to worry about strategy at below gold or whatever, and even into gold, you probably shouldn't still be worrying too much about strategy. With it, but with strategy comes comms, and I want to kind of correlate the two. So in gold, I was calming more. I was trying to communicate what I was seeing, what we wanted to do, and having a pre-round plan. And going in and out. So there is an inefficiency here. So your inefficiency with strategy is everything that somebody on your team can do, right? And I think this is super important. I was working with the team I'm playing with in Premiere last night. I think it was last night. And And we were talking about how we were up against a phoenix, and the challenge with the entry and the person behind the entry, the number two, was they can't dodge it. The way he was kind of setting up his flashes, we couldn't dodge the flashes. We couldn't, um, and we weren't playing anti-flash, right? And I think that's the key of kind of what I'm getting to here is we didn't have somebody designated to anti-flash. We also didn't know where that person should stand depending on where we were going. Um, and it is a strategy that we have to incorporate in. And if you look up at the enemy composition and they have a flash, if you're not communicating to somebody to play anti-flash, for example, be long unbind, there is a specific walk up that you can do to play anti-flash there. Um, those are going to be strategy inefficiencies that you don't have and you're not thinking of. And if you can't find somebody to do that, you have to be the person to do it. That's just one small example. Again, there's a ton of strategies that I can't even fathom up to this point. But we played an entire game and nobody spoke the words "we need an anti-flash," right? Part of the challenge is playing in the game. Your mind is racing through round to round, and you're not thinking the most, I guess, high level as you can think. But post game, going back and thinking about that, now that's going to be in our arsenal. We're actually talking about that for our next map. And how do you play anti-flash on approach to site A or site B versus maybe going mid or whatever the map is going to entail, and figuring out those things. And we need to have those items. Whatever we come up with as a 5-stack for Premiere are things that I'm going to attempt to incorporate into my solo queue games, because those are strategies that I just don't think about. But there's a massive gap of inefficiencies there, right? And I see iron and silver and gold players and bronze players that I just want to play strategy. Like, you can't if you don't have 5 people who want to and know how to play said strategies. If you're in bronze and you say we should default, chances are the majority of your team doesn't know how to do that. And that's why Woohoojin suggests not playing strategies. But as you kind of go up, you have to figure out what those inefficiencies in your strategy understanding is and break into those. And that's my biggest kind of understanding of what I need to fix is my pre-round routine includes developing a plan for myself and for my team. That's a massive gap that I have. I know what to do on an eco, because you should do something crazy and do something 5-stacky, or whatnot, stack aside or whatever it is. And I know how to do kind of those things, but I also have very limited ideas of what would be a good eco strategy. There are plenty of other strategies that I haven't incorporated. So that is number 2. Yeah, just recognize that you have to go seek those things out. You have to go look for options that you can try to incorporate, and a lot of that comes with VOD reviewing and going in behind and going, what am I missing? What could I have done here? And bring in somebody with more extensive information than you have to kind of analyze that for you. What could I have done in this scenario? Yeah. All right, number 3, the final thing, kind of, I'm going to say metagaming, maybe, I think is what it's a metagaming inefficiencies. So I'll just bring up one thing here. I actually just, Woohoojin just did a Durka pro analysis. And let's talk about this pro analysis. Was the majority of, there was a bunch of stuff with rays and nades and stuff, and people got all excited about that. But watching Durka's eyes when he was crosshair mode versus minimap mode, this is an inefficiency that we have. This is an inefficiency that I have. Information, proper information, what's in front of me on my crosshair versus teammate information, minimap, refragging minimap, watching, figuring out who's where and what's going on. That switch, the minimap to crosshair switch, is an inefficiency. And I'm going to use that one because I'm sure there are, not even sure, I know for a fact there are many other kind of things that you should be doing no matter what, backing up from an angle to not angle yourself. that are metagamey, right? Everybody should know how to do this, and we don't. So if you don't look at your mini map whenever you're in a spot where you shouldn't be shooting or cannot be shooting, even that's a number 2 information, you're inefficient, and you have to, again, you have to find the inefficiencies, but then you have to figure out ways to work on them. Again, my premier team, we were talking about how we don't have proper timing for trading. That if 2 people are going, we need to be able to trade the first person, and that's an inefficiency that we as a team know that we don't have. And I know I don't have it in solo queue, so it's like it's things to work on. So I think that I guess that's where I'm kind of just going with number 3 here is that it's a massive inefficiency, and I think that like as a diamond 1, I hit it once. The amount of metagame things that I'm still not doing, I know are astronomical, and I can't wait to figure out what they are. Like things I can't even think of right now because I don't know that I'm not doing them. I'm just excited to kind of get to that spot, but what are the little things everybody should be doing anyway that I'm just not yet doing? Yeah. All right, I made this a little bit quicker than I normally do because 1, I wanted to have a guest for this, but like I said, I was trying to do the story and I kind of messed that up. But 2, I did do the story and it was longer than I wanted it to be, so I need to try to trim that down, maybe in half actually. So trying to navigate this new model, and we'll figure out how to make it work. So I'll stop here. I will recap. Hidden mechanics, right? Talking about understanding the dead zoning and the horizontal movements, and understanding how to navigate the map specifically to Valorant or specifically to the game you're playing in, right? Animation canceling and things like that. The strategic inefficiencies and understanding what it is you could have done that you never even thought of, and how do you get better at thinking about those things, but also how do you get better at learning what additional strategies are available. And then the metagame, for lack of a better term, of what everybody does do and what I'm not doing still, and how to close the gap between what the best people do as a default and what I don't do as a default. From there, yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for hanging out. I'm still going to do the health podcast. I'll try to do that sometime this week and get that out. The sleep, nutrition, and exercise episode. And again, I have a story for that. So trying to figure out that new structure, and we'll go from there. Thank you all for hanging out, and we'll see you next time. Good luck in your games.